Tonight we begin with a development that immigration attorneys, seasonal employers, and thousands of workers had feared, prepared for, and quietly tracked for weeks. A decision that unfolded not over months, not over weeks, but in a single day. A single day that ended the dreams of thousands of applicants. A single day that left seasonal businesses scrambling for answers. A single day that sent rejection notices flooding into inboxes across the country. What USCIS confirmed this week crossed a line that employers had hoped would hold just a little longer, and when that line broke, the agency did not hesitate. They responded with finality, speed, and zero exceptions. For weeks now, there had been signals, not from official press releases, not from formal policy announcements, just quiet signals, that demand for H-2B supplemental visas was building to something historic. Employers have been aggressive, yes, but they have been calculated in their aggression. Their filing patterns followed a certain rhythm, a strategy, almost a predictable urgency. But what set off alarm bells in the immigration community this February was that the rhythm went silent. Immigration attorneys who monitor USCIS filing windows know the indicators. The sudden spike in petition submissions in the first 5 days, the premium processing surge, the employer panic calls to law firms, the sudden silence after the filing window closed. All of that went quiet after February 6th. And whenever demand goes quiet after a filing window, it means something is about to get loud. On February 13th, USCIS conducted what they described as a computer-generated random selection process, a lottery, covering petitions received during the first 5 business days of filing, February 2nd through February 6th, 2026. These are the kinds of lotteries that USCIS only runs when they are signaling something very specific. Demand has exceeded supply. The cap is full. The window is closed. Observers didn't know exactly how many petitions were rejected, or whether the numbers would shock even the most experienced attorneys. But what they did know was this. USCIS had officially exhausted all 18,490 supplemental H-2B visas in the very first allocation of FY 2026. And when a visa cap fills up this fast, even by a small measure, everyone pays attention. The rejection notices going out this week are not routine. They are not symbolic. They are not administrative formalities. They are final. Attorneys who reviewed the situation described USCIS's move as swift, absolute, and perhaps most importantly, non-negotiable. Your petition was not selected. Your filing fees will be returned. Your case is closed. That strategy of finality only works if employers accept it and move on. Many will not. In fact, the response from the employer and immigration community this week has been among the loudest we have seen in recent H-2B history. Here is what we now know with full confirmation. USCIS received more petitions than the 18,490 visas available during the first filing window February 2nd through 6th. Because demand exceeded supply, the agency ran a lottery on February 13th. Within 24 hours of that lottery, rejection notices began arriving. These weren't simple form letters. These were official government rejections, decisions that directly impact seasonal businesses in landscaping, hospitality, seafood processing, ski resorts, and construction, industries that were counting on these workers to be on-site by spring. In other words, USCIS targeted the first allocation completely. The workforce pipeline that would have made these seasonal operations run is now on hold. Here is where things get important for those still waiting. The second allocation is still available. It covers 27,736 visas, plus any unused numbers from the first allocation, reserved for returning workers with employment start dates of April 1st through April 30th, 2026. But there is a catch. Filing for the second allocation can only begin 15 days after USCIS announces that the second half of the regular statutory H-2B cap has been reached. That announcement has not yet been made. Employers who missed the first lottery need to watch USCIS announcements closely right now, because when that window opens, history tells us it will fill just as fast. As reports continued coming in throughout this week, the scale of the impact became clearer. Thousands of petitions were rejected in the first allocation lottery. Seasonal employers who filed early and still lost the lottery are now facing real staffing gaps. And workers who had already prepared, left their home countries or turned down other opportunities are now waiting with no visa in hand. This is not just an administrative update. This is a workforce crisis playing out in slow motion. USCIS has a system. That system ran its course, but the businesses that depend on these workers don't run on systems. They run on real people, real timelines, and real consequences when those workers don't show up. What happens next depends entirely on how fast the second-half statutory cap is reached and whether employers are ready the moment that second allocation window opens. If they move quickly, there is still a path. If they wait, that path closes too. And tonight, one thing is clear. The H-2B supplemental cap for the first allocation is gone. The second allocation is the last real window for spring start dates, and the clock is already ticking. We will be watching every update as the next phase unfolds.